You think you could beat her?
I know I can beat her.
You know you. Very confident.
I'm very confident.
You say it so easily. Why?
Because I believe it.
Cut right there, if you don't mind. And let me tell you what she has said. She said it with so much confidence the first time. But if you keep going on and on,
Listen, we can't keep interrupting. I mean, if you want...
you got to understand that you're dealing with an image of a 14-year-old child. And this child gonna be out there playing when your old ass and me gonna be in the grave. When she says something, we done told you what's happening. You dealing with a little black kid, and let her be a kid. She done answered it with a lot of confidence. Leave that alone.
What do you feel inside when you're on the court?
I feel good. I feel good.
We in here, yeah, we in here, cause we been here. We in here, yeah, we in here, cause we been here. We in here, yeah, we in here, cause we been here. Get rid of us now. We in here, yeah, we in here, cause we came here. Get rid of us now. We in here, yeah, we in here, cause we came here. Get rid of us now. And you know that we won't ever go, so you do what you want. We in here for life.
That's it.
Hello, and welcome back to another Monday of Black versus the Board of Education. My name is Miss Laureen, and I'm your hostess with the mostest. And as you can see, the crew is here, the gang's out here, and they waving and stuff, so that must mean they want to tell you who's in the building. So let's go ahead and start with the most animated one of the crew. Let's go ahead and say, hey, what's up, Sam?
Hello, I'm Samuel. I'm 11. I'm in 5th grade. I'm homeschooled. And I like sports.
Awesome. Welcome back to the party. Miss Anaya, go ahead and say hey.
Hey everyone, my name is Anaya and I'm currently a junior in high school.
Great. Miss Melissa, say hello.
Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa, and I am a 15-year-old sophomore in the Southern California area.
Oh, we're always glad to have y'all back. And Miss Jada, go ahead and round us out.
Hey, y'all. I'm Jada, a homeschooled junior, and I'm so glad to be back with you all.
Awesome. So listen, we have some guests joining us at some point. And I know that Jada, your dad's here, so we'll go ahead and bring him on so he can introduce himself. And then Melissa's dad will be joining shortly, as well as Samuel's dad. But go ahead, Brandon, say hello to the people.
Hello. My name is Brandon. I am in Northern California, and yes, I am Jada's dad.
Oh, fantastic. Y'all look like twins. Go ahead now. All right. And then while we wait for the other dads, I just want to ask, everybody saw the movie, right? Everybody saw it? Yes? Okay. So let's start with the beginning. What stuck out to you the most? Or let's not even start with the beginning. Let's start just overall as you're thinking back on what you saw. Give me one part that stood out to you the most. And let me go to Jada. Give me one part that stuck out.
Like a specific part of the movie, or
Yeah.
I'd say.
And wait, before you do, I'm so sorry. I forgot to say we are reflecting on the movie King Richard about Richard Williams, the father of Venus and Serena. We're gonna give you our opinions on the movie and tell you why, if you have not seen it, you probably should consider it. So I'm sorry about that, Jada. Let me go right back to you and tell me something that stuck out to you about this movie.
Something that stuck out to me was King Richard's protectiveness over keeping his children as children and not having them grow up too fast in the eyes of the public, especially that part about the interview when, he kept asking her, why are you so confident? Are you sure? Like, this isn't that. He was like, she already answered, let her be a kid. Like as if the reporter was trying to break her confidence. Like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Like, why are you so confident? So that's something I really noticed.
Anaya?
For me, what stuck out was when I think it was at the country club that they were at, and Richard was sitting with three other white guys. Let me just be specific. And they were talking and everything.
We don't want to give it a spoiler alert. Don't spoil it. But give me some overall.
Oh, okay. Just how he was blunt. how blunt he was with the things he said.
Okay, I'll take that. Samuel.
Well, one thing I focused on is how he worked them. He built up their work ethic. He trained with them every day, but he didn't overtrain them. He never did too much. He always let them be them, but he always trained with them. He always put some emphasis to get better, but he always wanted them to just be kids. That's what stuck with me.
Okay, Melissa.
I have two parts that stuck out, but I'm only going to say one. I'll keep it with one.
Okay.
I like the part where, without giving too much away, where he was talking to the police officers and saying that, yes, he works his kids hard, but it's because he loves them, and it's because he wants them to be the best people that they can be, not just the best people, but the best Black people and the best Black girls that they can be. He wants them to know that they are worth more than the world's going to try and tell them they are. So he wanted them to really know their worth and know that they could achieve a lot more than they may have thought they could.
And backing up with what Millie said, I really liked how King Richard was like, didn't nobody have respect for King Richard, but he gonna respect y'all. And I was like,
Okay, that's what you like. So Brandon, as you watch the movie, I'm curious, just full disclosure, I didn't grow up with a dad in the home. And so a lot of what I saw in terms of people thinking that dads are too hard on, and specifically, let's talk about their girls in this sense. Now, as a father of a teenage daughter, do you find similarities in the way in which Richard Williams was portrayed by Will Smith? Do you see similarities in your style of parenting and his style? Why
I
you
would,
laugh?
I mean, I would say yes. And I think that what stands out for me in the movie is, like Sam made a comment about the phrase too hard, right? And depending upon who you were asking, that idea of too hard was different. Like the neighbor across the street thought it was too hard, but is she a tennis champion? So what does she know? And then she called the police. The police showed up, and he had the speech about being hard on him. As a parent, you're trying to help your child, be successful. You're trying to help equip them with not only skills but a mentality that they're going to need too. I mean, you see what's going on with COVID and how that's affecting, how mental health is kind of coming to the forefront as it relates to the idea of resiliency, because life will and can throw a lot at you. And if you're not resilient enough to be able to mentally push through that stuff, be it training to be a tennis champion or just not losing your mind, if you're not resilient enough, something's going to break you. And so he was just trying to build them up so that they would be able to endure the road ahead of them.
And so let me start with the girls, and then Sam, I'll come to you. Young ladies, do you think that your dads are too hard on you? Would you say that your dad is too hard on you? And you can be honest. Jada, you can be honest. I got your back. Do you interpret?
I'm hard on her. I'm strict. Yeah.
We said her. Jada, do you think your dad is too hard on you? Yes. Why or why not?
There will be times where I will feel like he is being too hard. And, I know that a lot of adults and a lot of people in the family is like, he just wants the best for you. He loves you. He has his own way of expressing his love for you. He just wants to see you do great things, which is understandable. But, in the eyes of me, sometimes I'll feel like, well, I still want to live a little. Like, I still want to have that sense of freedom, that sense of like liberty. And sometimes I feel like a majority of that freedom or liberty can be blocked because everybody has these big plans for me. But, yeah.
Okay.
I can say at times it can get a bit overwhelming, but yeah.
Okay. Melissa, is your dad too hard on you?
No, I feel like as a kid, as as a child, you can think that a parent is being too hard on you. I feel like my mom is harder on me than my dad is, but it's all for a good reason. So, like, in the moment, I might be upset about that, but I can kind of try and see it from their perspective and understand. But like I said, like, as the child, I'm not going to always agree with what's happening. And in the moment, I'm going to think, yeah, I wish I could do more than I'm able to do, but I do understand it.
Okay. And I did see Matt come in. Matt, if you're still there, go ahead and turn on your camera. Oh, there you go. So we got another dad in the building. Before we go to Matt, Anaya, is your dad too hard on you? Why or why not?
No, I don't think my dad is too hard on me. Might be because I'm the only girl, so I think he babies me. But we have like unspoken rules, kind of where like we have boundaries where I know I can't do this because I'm breaking like his trust or like I'm doing something that's not good. He doesn't really yell at me. He's just like there, and there's like rules and things that I have to follow because he is my father. Like I could go to him and ask him for things, and he'll tell me yes or he'll tell me no. But I do think that my parents do have a lot of trust in me, so that also explains the way that I'm treated by them. So I don't think he's hard on me, really.
Yeah, and when I was watching the movie, one of the things that stuck out to me is after he had trained them and worked them for a few hours, he turns around and he says, "Venus Williams, who's your best friend?" And she said, "You are, Daddy." And he turns to Serena, "Who's your best friend?" She said, "Venus, and then you." And he said, "That's messed up, or that's cold, or something like that." And so I'm trying to figure out what's going on with Matt. All right. Well, as we're looking at this movie, and you guys, I want to give you I want to play this clip for you, and then we'll come back to it. So check this out.
Richard Williams coaches and manages his daughter Venus's career as well as her younger sister Serena. I understand you were reluctant to let Venus turn pro. You say I heard that you told the producer a parent ought to be shot for letting a 14-year-old turn pro.
Yeah, I just feel that way. It's just that I don't want to be shot.
You just said you don't want to be shot. And why do you say that? Because?
I say that because when a child is 14 years old, they're not ready for professional tennis. I don't know about any other career, but professional tennis, no way.
Why?
Well, the schedule, the amount of tournaments, the amount of things that's given to them.
Discipline.
Yes. And sports education, they has the tendency of conflicting with each other. So I really want my daughter to be educated. Most of the time people will come to me and talk to me about millions of dollars. But money do not make you a better person. 90% of most people's
It does not. But it just enhances the person that you are. I always say if you're a jerk before you had, I say that. You're a jerk before you had money, then you're just a jerk with some money when you get money. Yeah, but if you don't have anything to go along with it, it doesn't mean anything.
Well, actually what happened in sports, usually the kids come out and they become great stars in sports, but they have no idea of what taxes is about, or financing or investment.
Right.
So on paper, it look like they have a lot of money, but when their career's over, they have zero.
Correct.
So I believe that for my kids, it's best for my kids to have a great education. And if the money going to be there, if they're going to be superstars, they can come later.
So you're saying all this, but she turned pro.
Yeah.
And so what kind of a schedule do you have, Venus?
I don't even have a schedule yet. I don't even know what tournaments I'm going to play, but maybe about 5 my dad lets me.
About 5, if he lets you?
Yes.
So school comes first still?
Yes, it still comes first.
And how are the grades?
I have straight A's.
Great.
So she's trying to turn pro. He's like, "Yeah, you could turn pro, but I'm still gonna run this." And that turned a lot of people off, right? Because they wanted to be able to do with her what they wanted to do, but they had to go through her father to get to her. And I don't think people are necessarily used to that. They're used to us kind of leaving you guys out there to fend for yourself. But this was a father who was actively engaged in not only the rearing of his children, but very, very instrumental in their careers and their training to be tennis superstars. And I do see Mr. Grady. Matt, did you have a chance to watch the movie?
I didn't have a chance to watch the movie, but as a father and an entertainer, and with my children being entertainers, I know this enough to say, man, if you don't understand what I'm about to say, who raised you? First of all, look, if you gonna put access anywhere to my babies, especially my girls, yes, I'm still in this. Yes, I'm still the one leading it because I was the one that's in their life. Yeah, of course, if I was a father that just didn't have a common clue of the sense, but do you know when? And I want to make sure I say the right words. When it comes to certain brands of anything, they may have a motive that has nothing to do with your best interest for your child, your black child, be it at that. Your black daughter, be it at that. Let's just be realistic. So no one's gonna go after that best interest as much as you do. And I know when it comes to any father who is really in his daughter's life, we don't play. We do not play that. It is a freaking program, and I'm not gonna let a brand or entity say, okay, the first red flag I'm teaching my daughter is if they don't want your dad involved or something, you already should look at it like, no, I'm cool on that. At the end of the day.
Yeah.
So him saying I still run this is I'm still involved in my daughter, my minor child, my child's life. In this, like you're not gonna say, oh, we're gonna sign her, but make sure father knows nothing. He has no decisions or anything involved in it. It's just real funny. Pay attention. I don't trust a situation that wants a man out of his child's life anyway. Boom, mic drop. Who raised you?
Said boom, mic drop. Okay, so Samuel, you had a chance to watch the movie, and so as let me take the flip side. So as a young man whose father is absolutely present, he has certain things that he expects from you. Do you think your dad, and you gonna stretch? Okay, do you think your dad is hard on you as a young man, young boy?
No, not really. Sometimes, but I understand where he's coming from. I mostly.
So first you said no, not really. Then you said sometimes, and then you say you understand. So
it's all connected. No,
okay?
not really, not really.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I feel like it can be hard on me, but not. But I understand where he's coming from on, like his.
What do you understand? Tell me what you understand. You
like on sports when he pushes me, I understand he just wants the best for me.
Mm-hmm.
Or
and then as your grades and as you develop and you grow into a man, do you think that he's very deliberate in the things that he does to make sure you're prepared?
I would say he's deliberate.
Okay, all right. Because I think that there's this assumption, and we've been force-fed things through the media, right? And they tell us that Black fathers are not involved, that Black fathers are deadbeats, that Black fathers don't want anything to do with their children. But we know statistically that Black fathers are the most involved demographic of fathers there are. So, Brandon, as a father of a teenage girl, did you ever think that maybe you weren't prepared enough to raise a girl, or did you think that did you ever second guess your parenting or how you would parent this child or your child?
Yeah, I don't know if I ever second guessed it. I mean, I don't know. I didn't think of it like that. I was raised to try and do the best job possible, whatever it is that I'm doing, and so I think that the focus was more, how can I try and do the best that I can as it relates to raising versus, oh, I'm not cut out for this, or, second guess this or second guess that. I mean, do I think that I'm a perfect father? No. There is no human being that's perfect, and there's always room for improvement. So no, I don't think that I am a perfect father. I mean, I think that I'm a good dad, but I don't think that I'm a perfect dad. And there's always room for improvement.
Now, let me ask you this, because you're here and I don't see the other fathers just yet. And I know Matt is here. Has anybody on the outside tried to insert themselves into your parenting dynamic by trying to kind of check you on the way that you were relating to your child? And either one of y'all can answer that.
Um, that almost happened in my community once, where they even called because, you know, with how I interact with my son versus how I may interact with my daughter are two different ways. And I feel like it was a situation where I would say it was tested to see how much I stood on that fatherhood. And I actually found myself in a situation in the past a while ago, actually facing authority and the community. But one of the things is important. I try not to teach my.
So if something's going on with his reception. You have your hand up, Melissa? Is that what I saw?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know I am not a father, but my parents are divorced, but I know from family members, saying things behind my dad's back, questioning a lot of stuff with the way my dad is involved with me and my sister. I definitely know that it has been, questioned coming from that perspective.
Okay, and we're going to try to get Matt back up here. Matt, you were saying that you had it tested.
Yeah, guys, and I'm sorry for everyone, one of you guys are listening. I'm trying so hard to make sure I'm here, holding you guys down every Monday. You know what I'm out here doing and filming for a great cause. But it's just, it was questioned for me for authority-wise too. I do know that systematically it hurts to say this, but it's not normal or so-called is being shown or said that we aren't involved or we're all deadbeats. As hard as we'll go and as hard as we'll fight for our children. But I also teach my children to go above and beyond of what my generation knows, of what the generation before me knows, and to keep on, seeking that next level of understanding, of emotional support, mental support, when it comes to financial literacy, our history. Like, you know how I really believe that there were HBCUs everywhere. So with that being said, we treat life like a business, and when it comes to business of their life, I'm like their attorney, and nobody else ain't snatching my babies up without coming through me first, the big wolf cub at the end of the day.
Gotcha. And I see Mr. Eric has joined the party, and we're sitting here and we're talking about reflecting on the movie King Richard. And I just asked the dads, was there ever a time that somebody on the outside inserted themselves into your situation, maybe calling some sort of authority on you because they didn't appreciate the way you were relating to your children? So I put that question out there. Melissa said that she's heard certain things. You shaking your head no, so we're not gonna touch that.
No, go ahead. It's fine. Go ahead.
I was saying, because since my parents are divorced, I know I've heard things from family members saying different things, but like authorities, no. Like the scene in King Richard, no. But like family members saying certain things about the way he interacts with me and my sister, yes.
Gotcha. Brennan, what do you think?
Yeah, there definitely have been people who have tried to interject and have opinions about the way that I interact with Jada. And I was raised that children are the next level. Okay, so I mean, when I look at myself and I look at the things that my parents accomplished and the things that they had by certain ages and various things of that nature. I mean, they raised me in such a way to where I had access to things that they didn't have, and they wanted me to have access to those things so that I could be the next level of whatever it is that they're doing, achieving, and otherwise. And I look at Jada and I think about her in that same manner, as it relates to, I want to expose you and I want you to have the things that you need in order to, one, not make some of the same mistakes that I made, but then by not being able to make some of those mistakes, you can get a head start on some of the things that you need in life that are going to truly benefit you to take you as far as you want to go in life. And again, I try and focus on the mentality a lot, as it relates to being mentally tough, because sometimes people just break down in life because they can't push through. They can't endure certain things. So so yeah, my mother-in-law has said things. You've said things. My mom has said things.
And
Yeah.
just so everybody knows, Jada is my daughter. This is my husband. He's saying you said thing. I need to be clear that he's talking about me because, again, as full disclosure, I did not have a dad in the home when I was growing up. The ways that I see Brandon interact with Jada, I'm like, now if you was my dad and you was in my house, we would have some problems because I don't like that. But that's just me because I, in hindsight, but I didn't understand the dynamic that a father has with his daughter because I've never experienced that. And so as I was watching,
Brandon expressed it the best.
he said Brandon expresses the
I was
best and then
saying
put himself on mute.
he really, my bad. He really expressed it the best way, having access to that and really being an advocate for supersede the status quo of not status quo outside, but look at our family paradigm and breaking it down. And it doesn't matter when you're a father and you're willing to spend the rest of your life cracking the code of that next level, just so that next generation can spend their life cracking that code. To me, that is that happiness, and that's what it is to fathers, for us to hold on to. And that relationship really means that, really being a part of shifting that paradigm, that building those legacies so they're bigger than the one before. And as a father, that is for real to us. And sometimes we're really hard about it. Black fathers like I'm gonna have fun with you. We're the most lenient and friendliest, but that's why we don't want to be your friend and we want the program done. Because it means that much to us. No man wants to feel like his legacy will crumble apart by his hand or his empire. So a man who understands that these are pieces of me, even though I haven't seen the movie, I mean, some people may not understand that. A black man, especially of different culture from this, is really like, no, this is how it's going to be. And I'm skeptical about someone who doesn't want to see me in the picture.
Mr. Eric, I want you to jump in here because we have yet to hear your voice.
I'm listening. I'm taking it all in.
Okay, so we'll come back to you then. Go ahead, listen and take. But I there's a part in the movie where you have Richard talking to I think he was one of the coaches, and he was sitting at this table. He was making a decision, but his wife was sitting right there. And then what I noticed in that dynamic, again, a lot of times, Black couples are not really highlighted in this way. But what she did was allow something to take place that she may not have agreed with. And then after that person left, she said, basically, I'm going to rock with you this time, but don't do that again. Consider me and talk things through with me so that basically they can be on the same page. And that dynamic illustrated a lot about how Brandon and I communicate when it comes to Jada. A lot of times I feel like, you just making decisions and you ain't said nothing to me and I'm supposed to roll with it. And so we end up doing this instead of doing this, being on that same page. And I thought that was beautifully illustrated because a lot of times when they talk about Black parents, co-parents, or however, folks are interacting in this way, they never show the dynamic that we actually are really trying to work together to build something great for our children. Right. And that's one of the things that stuck out. And I see we got another dad in the building. This is Sam's dad, Mr. Hundley. Hey. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you up here and we'll have Anaya here. And so we're talking about King Richard. We're talking about the ways in which dads parent their daughters and how sometimes either society is describing you as deadbeats or they're thinking that you all are too hard on your children. And so I'm just trying to get y'all to weigh in just a little bit because you all are very, very present in your children's lives. You're very, very active. And I want them just to see some beautiful Black men holding it down for their children. So go ahead, Mr. Eric. I see your hand moving.
So I think that, society is not used to seeing Black fathers parent, period. So when the movie came out, they made it such a big deal. This is how we interact with our children all the time. So it's not anything new. This has been going on since day one. I think that it was a sneak peek on for the world to see how we interact with our daughters and our children. You know, it's interesting because, you know, when white fathers are parenting their kids, they don't highlight it, they don't talk about it. But as soon as we interact with our children, they make it seem like it's something special and something, you know, something different that we don't do all the time. You know, he had a beautiful dynamic because he saw something that nobody else could see, and we all see that in our children. You always want what's the best for your kids, and I think Richard's thing was that he saw something, but he didn't always share it with his wife, and so he was making decisions on his own, knowing that she was going to stand by him and she was going to be okay with it. So he just made the decision anyway without consulting her. Don't necessarily agree with it, but it's just a funny dynamic on how his brain worked.
Mr. Shamar, you want to weigh in a little bit?
Can you give me the question? Because I'm a little behind.
Yeah. No problem, no problem. We're just talking about Black fathers and how, you know, even with this movie, and we'll get into the criticism of the movie in a minute, but the fact that people seem to be shocked, one, that Black fathers are involved in this level, and that it takes a strong Black father to build very strong children, and how that dynamic comes across. Now, Samuel told us that he don't think you too hard on him. He thinks that, you know, but then he said, no, not really. Yeah, kind of, sort of. Well, I understand why he's doing what he's doing. So as a Black father who's absolutely involved in his children's lives, what is it that you want folks to understand about Black parenting, Black fathers and how they parent? And what is it that you want to see in terms of your children's ability to really sustain in life? I'll say that.
Okay. Well, first of all, I mean,
What
the
in the
media
world?
and society makes it as if having a Black father in the home is like the unicorn situation in society. So that's the first situation, and it's the media depiction of the Black male and how we are viewed. That we're never there, we're never involved. If we are, it's a rarity, and that's not the case. There's more Black fathers than they're being portrayed, and that's the issue. So that's the first thing. For me, I have Black sons. So for me, I have to give them the structure. I have to give them the guidance. For one, to be better than I am. I always want them to be better than I am. And I strive for them to do more than what I do. So I want them to see what I'm doing as an example. And then I want them to go ahead and strive to even take it to another level. So then when they have children, and if they have sons or daughters, they can have them strive to be even better than they are. So it's holding up a standard and creating a standard they have to look up to and to achieve it. That's the most important aspect for me as a father, and to show them what a man looks like, and to show them that it's okay to be, you know, ambitious, but it's okay also to be vulnerable. It's okay to have emotions. It's okay to get frustrated, but also to take those frustrations and make them motivation to do better. So I try to show them all aspects of life of what a man is, and then use that as a footprint for them to continue to strive to be better men as they grow older and, you know, become professionals and, you know, at some point have children of their own and have a family of their own. They can take the foundation that I brought to them and expand upon it. So that's my goal.
Gotcha, gotcha. And I remember there was a quote in the movie that he said that there's nothing more dangerous than a smart woman who can make good decisions or something like that. I can't remember I didn't quote it right, but I know it says something to that effect. So Shamar, let me
You know
ask you,
what
and
you
then I'm
mean.
gonna come to the other daddies. Let me ask you, you don't have daughters, but do you think your parenting style would be any different if you did?
No, no,
No.
no. I don't think it would be because, to be honest, regardless if I had sons or daughters, the standard is going to be the same. It just changes the gender role. Instead of them being great men, they got to be sophisticated, strong Black women, and then they got to know what to look for in a man. So then I'm
Ooh.
changing. Then I'm changing the perspective to give them an example of what a man looks like, so that when they see men, they got to hold them up to a standard that I portrayed, and if they don't, they cut them off. So it's the same. It's the same plan. It just changed the gender roles. So no, I wouldn't change it.
I love that answer. I absolutely love that answer. Mr. Eric, you smiled as he was talking. What was going through your mind?
Well, I have a son and I have daughters, right? So
Okay.
For me, because their personalities are different, I've had to adjust how I teach and how I raise them. Maya, my youngest, she's a little bit more softer, so I have to handle her a little bit differently. However, I'm firm with them all. Just as a dad, you have to know the personalities and how to reach them individually, because for us, just using the same thing for everybody doesn't always work. And I grew up in a household we were all handled the same way, and there's always been in the era I grew up in, there's always been like this mode that you spare the rod, spoil the child, right? And we were all raised that way. However, through life I've learned to teach a little bit differently. It's what works for us.
Anaya, as you're listening to these dads talk about their parenting style, do you see any similarities with your dad?
With what Mr. Shamar said, with how he wouldn't change his raising if he did have a daughter, but he would say different things to her. I definitely see that with my dad, because I do think that he's a little tougher on my brothers, and he expects more out of them. But I think I was just naturally just always able to just be I guess the standard of what he already expected out of us. So I was just there, but he also wanted to raise my brothers and have them be strong and protect them and also me. And so it's definitely different raising sons and daughters. I don't know because I don't have any kids, but I definitely see that in my parents.
Thank God. Yeah.
That's good.
How they're raising my brothers to be strong and protective, and then they're raising me to also be able to handle myself.
Okay.
So, and then also what my dad expecting a lot out of me, he says it, but he doesn't have to repeat it. He would tell me the time, and then I just know. And then if I don't meet the expectation, he talks to me about it. And we rarely have serious conversations, but when we do, I really know I need to get my stuff together, because we always play around each other, and he's like, Anaya, okay, I understand how you're feeling. However, you need to do this, this, and that. And I'd be like, okay, I know. But I don't say I know, because then my parents are like, well, if you know, then do it. I'm like, okay. So yeah, I definitely see similarities in that.
Okay. And so, Sam, as you were watching this movie, tell me about the scene, because first of all, I didn't know that Mr. Richard had more children than the ones in his home with Venus and Serena. I didn't know about that. But as a kid that's growing up under this under a father who expects things from you, and he helps, he's on you constantly about it, is that something that you think that you've learned to just do, or kind of, is it something that just comes with being your daddy's son, or is it something that you just like, man, I just don't want to even engage on that level? Does that make sense?
I can see it. I can see what you're trying to say. So,
oh, thank you. What do you think about it?
I think that.
And would you like me to rephrase? I can try to rephrase what my thought process was. Okay. So what I'm saying is, we live in these homes with these gentlemen that y'all call dads, and they expect certain things from you. Do you think that you're always meeting their expectation, or do you think that sometimes you're falling short? That's a condensed version of what I was trying to say, but I just go.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
I don't know, because I feel like sometimes I don't even really think of the question.
You don't think about his expectations. You just kind of existing over there, huh?
Yeah, I just they're there, but I don't really think of them. I know he has expectations of me, but I don't really think about them because that can really that it's just like it's just messy because it for you to start thinking about like the expectations your dad has for you. What if I'm not meeting them? What if I'm not good enough? That's just it's not good for yourself to put that on yourself. I am personally hard on myself, so I have expectations set for myself. So mainly I like to focus on those expectations. So and then I try to like adjust them and I try to make the expectations how I want to how I want myself to live up and how I want the standard for myself to be.
And mom is in the chat. She said you harder on yourself. Okay, all right. Jada,
I
do
have,
you think you're meeting your dad's expectations? And your dad wants to jump in here, but go ahead. Yes or
I
no?
yeah,
Go ahead, Brandon.
go right
Go
ahead.
ahead, Brandon.
No, go ahead and let Jada answer first, but then I have a
Okay.
follow-up question for Sam.
Personally, I think the only reason why I have such high expectations for myself is because of the ones that were set on me in the household. So I kind of adapted to those and kind of made them my expectations. But I also feel like sometimes I feel like, personally speaking, that my dad has like a lot of expectations for me and preparing me as, I think he said, the next generation. And I feel like as a kid or as a teenager, I feel like he can be so wrapped up in trying to prepare me for what he wants to prepare me for that he kind of lacks of allowing me to kind of find or have a certain life, like find myself personally. And I personally experience this because that's just how I feel. And I know like parents have these high expectations for us, but sometimes I feel like they get caught up in it, that they're kind of, it can be suffocating at times where it's like I just want to like live my life. Like I also have these kind of big plans or these big things that I want to do with my life, and I know you just want the best for me, but I also want to find my own life because you've lived yours and I want to live mine, if that makes sense.
Brandon?
Yep. It's interesting to hear that viewpoint. And the reason why I say that is because I know that growing up myself, and this kind of ties into the follow-up question that I had for Sam too, relative to while you may not be thinking about your dad's expectations and you have expectations, how were those shaped? Where was the reference point relative to the expectations that you have for yourself, Sam? And then I'll speak on Jada's comments some more.
Oh, Brandon gonna take over moderator duties. Go ahead, Sam.
No.
Yeah, they came from like just my dad and my mom and how I was raised. Their expectations for me kind of built into my expectations for myself. And then I try to live up to my expectations the best I can. I trying to become an engineer, trying to give back to the community and speak up about injustices. I just have expectations for myself when I grow up and right now.
Okay. And then Brandon, go ahead and speak on what you wanted to speak on in terms of Jada, because we got to get to the criticism that this movie received.
Sure. Yep. And all of those things can be done, Sam, by the way. Speaking to what Jada was saying, I know that myself growing up, it's like as a parent, right? You've got a child, and at the age of 18, That child will become a legal adult. Functional adult is something different, but that child will be a legal adult. And from the age of 18 on, guess what? You get to live whatever life you want to live. But while you are a minor and living in my household, relative to the bills that I pay, the air conditioning that I gift you with, the water that I gift you with, that all that stuff, I need to make sure that you have what you need. And you will get the things that you want, but I gotta make sure you're doing what needs to be done. I got to. Because if I don't make sure that you're doing what you need to be done, I'm failing you.
Can I say one thing?
Yes,
One thing.
yes, go ahead. Yep.
That was great. That was great, B. That was great. And I have to just context on my style as far as with my boys is that for me growing up without a father and not having a father in the home to be an example, I use that as motivation to become a better father for my children. And it's because there was something I didn't have a manual on how to be a man growing up because I didn't have an example in the home. So it took trial and error for me. It took me to make a lot of mistakes, to bump my head plenty of times in order to learn what was right, what was wrong. So, and I think overall from parents, sometimes we do that. We strive to use our own personal experiences that might have been positive and negative to cultivate to be better for our children. And sometimes our children might not understand the reason behind what we do and how we do it and why we do it. But as they get older in life and they become adults, they come to a realization of why we were doing the things that we were doing and the reason behind it. And it happens all the time. It happened with me sometimes when my grandmother said some things and some mentors that I had, and they said did some things when I was younger, and I didn't understand it then. I understand it fully now because I'm in an age and a maturity level to understand it. And I think that goes a long way when it comes to parenting, especially with having being a father.
Gotcha. And just to segue just a little bit, because this movie did not come without any criticisms in the parenting style, in the fact that it was about their father and not about them. They wanted to see more about Venus and Serena's story. And so I have this clip that I want you guys to check out, and then we'll come back and get some reactions.
Good old social media logic. So apparently some people have an issue with the movie King Richard, which is about Serena and Venus Williams' father. As you can see by this tweet right here, this just shows, like, this person literally exposes himself in the tweet. Paraphrasing here, but saying something like, did they seriously make a film about two powerful women, successful women, and they made the movie about their father? Then to go on and say, well, I didn't expect a film about two powerful and successful black women to be about a man or named after a man. I would have loved this film to be all about them and not about a man. You're showing your colors or your whiteness. You have an issue with men, maybe even your father. The signs are stated all over your tweets. Did you not know Serena and Venus wanted this movie done themselves? Like they're behind the movie. The two powerful and successful black women that you're talking about literally back this. They want this story told. But no, you don't understand that because you don't like men. Like you have an issue with men. I don't know what your preference is, but I'm just saying in general, you have an actual issue with men and it's showing. But I have to say this, you as a white woman, speaking on black men and black women, like, in all honesty, like, you can do whatever you want, but we can say whatever we want back. And I'm going to say this, hush up.
Melissa, you got your hand up. What's up, mama?
They would not have been Venus and Serena Williams without their dad. Period, point blank. He was the one who was hard on them, as hard as he needed to be, because not only were they girls, they were black girls. And so he wanted to, the comment he made in the beginning, he wanted to keep them off the streets. He didn't want them doing certain things that their area would have, the area they lived in would have wanted them to do. Without their dad, they would not have been the amazing people, the inspirations that they are today. So yeah, like the guy said, she has a problem with men, not just men, but Black men. So that's not an issue she needs to be speaking on, because it's not an issue at all.
Yeah, go ahead. You know, the fact that they grew up in Compton, he knew what needed to be done to keep his kids off the street. And yeah, some of his tactics may have been, some would say, aggressive. However, look at where they are.
Results.
And there are a lot of people that don't understand that, they don't come from our culture or our neighborhoods. You know, they're going to criticize, you know, his style or whatever the case may be, but look at where they are. And he succeeded. And had he not done what he'd done, look at where the family would be. You know, I don't know, you know, a lot of people don't know about what happened to their older sister, but she ended up getting shot, but he was trying to save all of them, you know, from that. He was successful. He got it done.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know, radical times call for radical measures, and he was a radical in his time. And he said it best in the movies. You look at all of these other, he said it, all of these other white kids and white parents, their kids are washing out. You know, they couldn't handle, you know, the stress of it, but he made sure that they maintained a healthy child lifestyle as he was grooming them to be who they are today.
Yeah, and I don't want to dismiss, because I know we had a comment from Miss Evans, and she was talking about her sister played competitive tennis, and you know, how the organizers of the matches made sure the draw is set so that all the kids of color would eliminate each other in the early rounds. And you know, there was always something that they were doing to kind of, you know, make sure that we didn't progress to those later rounds. And so I think that it was absolutely amazing that he kept their focus on education and being children, and that they knew. I don't know if you guys were paying attention to her body language when he was telling the man to go on and move on. She answered it with confidence. She started picking her nails, like, yeah, go ahead and tell him, daddy. Like, yep, I said what I said. And she knew that she could say what she wanted to say because she had the covering of her father. And that makes a big difference. Even though some people may not understand that, I used to, when I was in high school, I always used to say, I want to be daddy's baby. I always wanted to be daddy's baby girl, because with that, to me, came a covering or some sort of protection. That was, oh, hey, Chris, some sort of protection that came with having daddy in the picture, right? There were certain boys that wouldn't step to you in certain ways because daddy was in the picture. As a matter of fact, I know, like, there's Jada be on the phone and her dad goes like, who you talking to? Give me the phone. And he'll go to people's house. Like, her dad's crazy. But I appreciate that, because I think that that's something that I would have liked, you know, growing up, is to know that I had a dad that people would think twice about stepping to me in a certain way. So, Anaya, talk to me.
What would
First
you
of all,
like me to answer?
you can answer that last clip about, you know, the lady should hush up because she in family business and she's not part of the family. We could talk that. Or you could tell me about the difference that does it make a difference having do you think, because you've always had your dad there, but do you think it would be different if your dad was not in the home? Do you think you would do something different? I don't know. I'm just speculating. I'm asking you to speculate.
I'll answer the first one.
Okay.
So, about the video, I think at the end of the day, just stay at Black folks' business. But that's my opinion on just like that topic. About, anyways.
Do you
Why
think
was
they
she
should have
so-
named this? Do you think they should have named this film after their dad?
Well, I mean, like, I don't know why she was surprised that it was about their dad. If his name is the title, what were you expecting? Like,
She
oh,
wasn't
I'm
reading.
gonna go watch
Talk to him.
this movie
She wasn't
called
reading.
King Richard. I expect it to be focused on Venus and Serena, nothing about their father being shown. Don't watch the movie. If you have a problem with men, don't watch the movie. If you didn't like the title, don't watch the movie. You know?
I'm just saying, common sense, right? It's common sense.
Yeah. And like what Melissa was saying, like, not that they would be nothing without their father, but their father obviously had an impact in their life. Their father was the one and I'm not gonna like say their mom wasn't there present in tennis, because she was, but their father was the one pushing them so hard to be where they are today. So without him, maybe they wouldn't have made it as far. So I do think that without his story, you wouldn't have known anything, or like a lot of pieces would have been left out of how they're raised and what they did to become how good they are today. So yeah.
Sam, does she need to shut up? I mean, hush up? Do the critics who expected this movie to
Yes.
be about somebody? Okay, tell me why.
Yes. Like with the title, like King Richard, what you think is about what did you expect? What did you expect? This is about to be all about Venus and Serena, and their dad is gonna be like a little sprinkle character? No. Because the parent, in this case it's the father, builds the foundation of where they are today and builds the foundation of their children.
Come on, Sam.
So you can't make a story about Venus and Serena without making a story about their father.
I like that, Sam. And we are who we are because of our parents, no matter if it's positive or negative. So they became a positive reflection of the way that their dad was with them. And if he would have been too hard on them, like some people thought, if he would have done more or done less, they would not be where they are today. So we are a reflection of what happens with our parents, whether that experience with them is positive or negative.
I think some
Jada?
of that.
Oh, who's that? Shamar or Eric?
No, that was Eric. That was Eric.
I think some of the criticism comes from us as the Black community. We knew their story. We knew that their success had everything to do with Richard. She probably didn't know nothing about the man. So
maybe
she probably has an issue, but we knew, of them growing up in Compton and all that stuff, but nobody else, they don't know.
White people don't think before they talk.
But here's another question though. What would happen if the role was reversed and he wasn't there or wasn't present, and they showed a depiction of him being the deadbeat dad? Then how would that be viewed then? Would she have an issue if that perception was portrayed for him, that he was an alcoholic and it was a deadbeat and really didn't invest in their future, and they took it upon themselves? Will she have a different viewpoint of the movie at that point?
That story's been told. That story's been told already. All of the sports movies, the dad always shows up when they make it. It's been told already.
Or they wouldn't have even made a movie about it because that's the standard. That's what they think our dads are like. They wouldn't have even made a movie about it.
Yep. So the moment you have a Black father who's doing what he needs to invest, you have an issue with. But we have prior examples of parents of other shades of color who are not investing in their children and in the news for other reasons. Case in point, shootings that we're having right now going on in our communities and schools, and you have parents that's behind it, but we're not speaking on that, and we're not speaking on those parents who are driving those decisions for their children. But you have a father who's over here portraying the good things and put more energy in making sure that his children were successful, and you got a problem with that. It just shows you where our society is at this point.
Well, they didn't want the tape to be told in a different way, right? So they had to turn this into something negative because it was nothing negative about this movie. If he was a deadbeat, they would have been happy with that because that's the tape, right? But when you change it and you focus on this father who was there from, I would say, conception on, right? And you have this family dynamic. He did what was best for the family. It says, write the vision and make it plain. He wrote out a whole plan for their lives before they were conceived, and then put it into practice or put it into motion and really worked them to fulfill this thing that he had written down. He was committed to making sure that they could really talk about their own experiences in the way that they needed to when they got older. And it wasn't dependent on whether people were going to be nice to them or people were going to find their story favorable. They were actually executive producers on this film. They were there every day and they saw everything that was put into it. So I would say she should probably have kept her mouth closed because she didn't know enough. Who has their hand up? There were so many people. Like Samuel.
About the shooting, that Kremlin kid. Oh, it's just such a coincidence. Oh, parents buying their underage child a gun. What? Saying he shouldn't get in trouble about looking up ammo in class. What? And then on the day of the shooting, they magically disappear. What? Makes no sense. Bad parents, not good parenting, aren't at all invested in their child's well-being, and just I'm sorry.
Okay, so Sam is absolutely frustrated. Okay, and I wasn't going to spend no time because we've actually run out of time for this show, but I'll keep going for a little bit because I think it's absolutely important. First of all, I want to give our condolences to the families that lost young people at Oxford High School. You know, and as time continues to go on, I need parents in our communities to be on the lookout for copycats. That is a very real thing. And that's why I got so infuriated when they started pulling Black boys out of a school because they got a post basically with conservative language that mentioned the N-word in it. And they thought that this was Black children about to shoot up a school here in town. And so over the weekend yesterday, they had another thing where somebody was talking about they were going to shoot up a local high school. One, I want parents to be on alert. Two, I think it's important that we have this conversation because we all know if this person, okay, listen, I need to block somebody. Sorry, guys. We all know that mass shooters, most of them are non-melanated, meaning they are not Black. And at no time when that school was shut down, when Consuming Soaps was shut down, did they search all students. They only searched Black students that were picked out of a yearbook by some random person. And so we're going to have to get real and we're going to have to start talking about certain things in our communities. The reason SROs were put on campus was to thwart mass shootings that they have not had in this area or in most areas. And so I think that we need to be holding administrators accountable. We need to be holding people accountable because what happened and the warning signs that this little 15-year-old boy at Oxford, I don't even want to say his name, I'm gonna call him EC, what he did and what he was showing, like drawings of people dead, you know, with bullet holes. He had posted a picture of this gun that he had gotten as an early Christmas present. It was purchased on Black Friday. The school had received multiple concerns or multiple calls about concerns about there being a shooting. They said they investigated and that there was no such threat. And the day later or a couple weeks later, 4 students are dead. So we have to have a conversation. So it was hours?
It's the same day. They had a meeting with him. They had a meeting with him.
Oh yeah.
They tried to kick him out of school. The parents refused to let him get out of school. He left, went back to class, went to the bathroom, pulled out his gun, and began shooting students in the same day.
Discussed, yeah, that's exactly what happened.
And it was posted on social media that even in the school shooter's bio, it was like Oxford, like it was threatening, it was like Oxford, you're next, or such and such. Like, how do you not see that?
Well, I mean, and I know that the shooting happened the same day after their meeting. What I'm saying is prior to that, the school had been receiving threats. Prior to that, they had seen somebody left a head of a deer on campus. Like there were so many things going on. And at no time did they decide to talk to parents and say, hey, we're taking it seriously. As a matter of fact, the counseling staff never even told the administrators that they had brought him and his parents in, according to them. It doesn't make sense, but that's what they said. And so now you have these students who have lost their lives because they did not send this boy home, because they allowed his parents to refuse to take him home. And I didn't know that was an option. I'm very surprised by that. I didn't know that parents could refuse to take their children home when they're summoned up to the office to talk about their behavior.
Yeah, I believe the parents got charged with manslaughter or something like that. They charged the parents. And so I think that should definitely be a message, to the parent, because they could have kept them home or they could have did something other than what was done.
Or they could have disclosed the fact that they had purchased a firearm and that he had access to actually commit something so heinous.
It was his gift. It was his Christmas gift.
I know. It was his gift. I mean, but still, like seriously, I've seen black kids hemmed up for less. I've seen black kids hemmed up for coming in a room with a baseball cap on. I've seen black kids get jumped and be charged with expulsion because they defended themselves. I've seen all kind of things, and at no time, because that's one of the things in ed code that's supposed to be an automatic expulsion, right? Possession or whatever. Nobody checked this fool's backpack. Do they know he could have shot up everybody in that office? Nobody checked his backpack. He's looking for ammo on his phone. The teachers are reporting it. Like, seriously? There was a threat of a gun on a campus up here. They pulled the black boys who did not fit the description out and searched them. They searched them. And so now you have a whole bunch of traumatized kids who saw kids die in front of them. Unsuspecting kids who, and everybody's talking about this little boy who is basically pleaded not guilty. In what world? Like we really have to talk about some stuff. In what world? Why are there two discipline systems in education or in the criminal justice system? Why wouldn't they have called law enforcement like they do for black kids not tying their shoes?
This country, that's what this country has been built on. We're built on two different systems. There's one for us and one for them. And the one for us is not equal to the treatment that they get. You know, that's how it always is. That's how it's always been.
They don't care about us. This country was built on the backs of slaves and then run by people who own slaves. They've never cared about us. They don't care about us as people. They don't care about our well-being at all. So then it translates over into the criminal justice system and into the education system. We're always at the bottom and on the back burner. They don't care about our well-being as students. Like when we're students, they don't see us as people at all. They see us as a dollar sign on their check. They don't care about our well-being and who we are as people. And it shows.
And that is why King Richard was like part of what he was instilling in his daughters is that you are valuable, you are worth something, and you can go on and do great things. There are two Americas. There's a lot of crazy stuff that's going to happen, but you've got to have the mental fortitude to push through it, because the best type of revenge that you can have, especially within a system that isn't designed for you, is success.
Piggybacking off of what you said, you know, so this is why when parents have these expectations, it's because, you know, we've lived this life and it's just a rerun, right? And so when our children are going through certain things, we've already been through it. We've played this thing over and over again in our head and have experienced it. So when we're trying to give the blueprint of how to handle certain things and certain decisions to make, this is why, you know, we are so hard on our children as parents, because, you know, the life for Black folk is not easy in any realm of possibility. It's just not easy. So we have to approach things a little bit differently.
Yep. And unfortunately, people will play dumb, and that's why you got their great grandchildren in positions of power putting in legislation to keep people from learning about the history of this country. Additionally, we can't just sit and talk about racism. Right now, we're in a position now, we got to start giving them absolutely clear-cut examples of their foolishness because they like to play dumb or they are dumb. I don't know which one it is, but it just is what it is. So I just want to underscore what Brandon said. That is absolutely why having their father there was so important, because he was tougher on them than probably anybody could ever be, and he prepared them for the racism and the vitriol and the non-calls they would get in the tennis world. And that's why they're continuing to be successful today. But look, we done ran out of time. I absolutely thank you all for joining us today, and maybe we'll have to put something else together so y'all dads can come powwow with us. This was a good time right here. And so maybe we'll get the mamas up on here one of these good days too, or maybe we'll have all y'all. I don't know yet. We'll see. We'll see. But we want to thank y'all for joining. Make sure you follow us on Apple Podcasts, and subscribe to Apple Podcasts, or follow us on Spotify. Make sure you go ahead and go by our student store, pick up some BVBOE gear. I don't have my bag here because I left it at home, but I'll show y'all next time. And what else? What else? Am I forgetting something? Oh, make sure you join us here next week at 4 o'clock. We will be talking about where all the Black teachers went. We know that Brown versus the Board of Education pushed Black teachers out of the public education system. And so we're going to talk about that. And if there are any teachers who would like to join us next week, please, please, please DM us, let us know, because we absolutely want to hear your voice on here. So with that, we're going to hit y'all with the wave. Samuel likes to do the regular wave. He wants everybody to do whatever it is that they do. So we
gotta do the wave. Coordinated.
Okay. Wait, so hold on. Oh, it's this way. Okay. Like this. Okay.
We're doing the wave.
There you go. There you go. We're gonna hit you with the wave. We'll hit y'all next week, 4 o'clock, right here, live on Facebook and YouTube. Go ahead. What is it? Okay. There. Yeah. Go ahead.
Successful wave.
Bye.
80% successful.
Bye, y'all.